We cannot afford to be in silos. We must occupy the space of pie, what I call a pie-shaped professional, which is combining deep expertise in advanced digital capability with rigorous mastery of material world. Our guests today embody this multidisciplinary command. When conventional engineering assumption pushed back against his idea, he didn't retreat. He holds a US patent 84007B2 for a scalable vertical hydroelectric power system engineered to operate completely enclosed within a metropolitan structure or subsurface mining footprint. Instead of an uncoupled metabolic engine that consumes resources and then toxic waste, its innovation introduced a principle of closed-loop structural homeostasis, if I may use a biological term again. It functioned as a mechanical load-shifting storage system, utilizing off-peak renewable energy to elevate a fixed volume of fluid, storing it as a gravitational potential energy and releasing it down a vertical column to drive high efficiency internal turbine during peak computational load. Because the loop is entirely sealed, it mitigates the grid volatility without evaporating a single gallon of municipal water or relying on unpermitted fossil fuel turbine. He is an inventor, an infrastructure logician, and a visionary founder behind Allen Hydro Energy Corporation. Welcome to Steam Spot, Mr. Charles E. Campbell Allen.
Dr. O, I appreciate this opportunity.
You're welcome. Charles, can you please tell the viewers and the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you. Again, I was born and raised in the Mississippi Delta, so my heart is there, and especially with the people suffering in Memphis in terms of the fossil fuel that is impacting the Boxtown community. And so I grew up in poverty there and got an opportunity to earn a bachelor's degree at Jackson State University, and then that led to a master's degree in social work at The Ohio State University, because I wanted to solve problems, particularly poverty. That was the main concern that I had. And so that is what allowed me to stay connected to the community, stay connected to the problems, but I also wanted a way to use my inventive skills, my entrepreneurial skills to fund what I saw as valuable, uplifting solutions to generational poverty and the things that were harming the Black community, including the Black disparities.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I want to actually get into, the article that I mentioned earlier. The unpermitted facility expanded from 27 to nearly 57 bus-sized turbine, threatening to emit up to about 2,500 tons of nitrogen oxide and 25 tons of formaldehyde annually, potentially making it the largest industrial source of nitrogen oxides in greater Memphis region. Here's my question, Charles. This scale is staggering. We're talking about nearly 60 bus-sized turbine with a potential to emit 2,500 tons of smoke-forming nitrogen oxide annually. When tech giants and entities claim that this massive layouts are merely temporary mobile source to evade standard stationary permit. Um, how does that exploitation reshape the economy of the urban energy development?
Well, Elon Musk owns Xi and the plant in Boxtown, Memphis. And in collaboration with Black political leaders, this is having a negative impact on the health of the Black community. And that health long-term impact has yet to be measured, but it follows a pattern of, of, of political leaders allowing tech giants to burn fossil fuel to power their data centers. And that's because they don't think that there is another way. And my invention offers another way to mitigate the power and the water usage that AI data centers demand. So there is pushback from a lot of communities, a lot of states on data centers because they have not offered a solution to the very problem of water and power generation that negatively impacts the community. And there are communities around this country, predominantly white communities, that are not interested and will not allow tech giants to build data centers in their community that harm their population. I wish more Black African American leaders had that same concern and love for our communities to demand that tech giants look for alternatives. And I have communicated or tried to communicate with many of them about the opportunities that Allen Hydro Energy Corporation has to offer solutions to these tech giants that already have existing data centers within their community. The tech giants have the resources for this solution, and it's just a matter of Black politicians and communities starting to demand that they look for alternatives to meet their need. Artificial intelligence is not going anywhere. They require data centers. The data centers require power and water. And Allen Hydro Energy Corporations has an environmental solution for them.
Thank you so much. The global data center, as you've said, is not going anywhere. I'm a proponent of, I use AI a lot for different activities. And I am a proponent of AI. I really feel like I believe that it's a game changer. And but in order to utilize the AI, we all use AI for different reasons, but most of the times for querying, right? I would say maybe most of the time we spend about 80 to 90% of our time. We're just consumers. We use it for querying. But it does require data center. So the global data center power the consumption, at least the best I understand, is projected to double to 935 trillion watts hours by 2030. This is rivaling the footprint of an entire nation's. Furthermore, day-to-day AI inference, not for training, represent 80 to 90 of this demand. Would here's the fact. Here's what I find very interesting. A single generative query used 10 times the energy of a keyboard search. This is really amazing. I did until I start preparing for my conversation with you. I didn't know that. I didn't realize how much energy it takes. So that means the public often thinks that the energy problem is just about training this model. So just like me, you never think that just doing your query takes a lot of energy. I mean, it's not a big deal. It has become part of normal life, research and all that, interacting with AI. But the data reveals that day-to-day inference, the routine query that we do, account for 90% of the total demand. As hardware efficiency increase, the rebound effect triggers even higher consumption. You said it. AI is not going anywhere. We'll continue to innovate, right? There's going to be more demand. So here's my question. How does your load shifting potential energy model how will it flatten the exponential demand curve? We know it's going to go up. So uh, with your technology, can your technology address this issue that I just laid out?
Yes. Allen Hydro Energy Corporation's power plants, the design includes 40 1,000 megawatt turbine generators per data center. So by comparison, Microsoft just signed a 20-year deal, I believe, with a company in Texas that will supply them with natural gas, about 2.7 gigawatts of energy. And they are spending $7 billion for this energy.
Hmm.
So each power plant, each Allen Hydro Energy Corporation power plant can supply one data center with enough scalable power to meet the increasing demands for artificial intelligence. And so that's where this technology is portable. It can be built in cities that already have existing data centers, and it can be built for new data centers, not only in the US, but in Africa and in other parts of the world that are building out these data centers, but don't have the kind of power necessary, and they're not willing to burn more fossil fuel, but they will if they have to.
Yeah.
But I'm offering a better solution, a cleaner solution, a more environmental friendly solution that does not impact communities. And one good thing about this Trump administration, they did require tech giants to sign a ratepayer protection pledge where they agreed not to pass on the increase of the data centers to the ratepayers for electricity and water. And in return, the Trump administration has agreed to approve their power plants within 2 weeks. Now, this is a game changer. This is
Yeah.
unheard of
Yes.
because normally it would take years, if not decades, to get new power plant approved. And so, with Allen Hydro Energy Corporation being in this space, these data centers or these tech giants can literally do deals with Allen Hydro Energy Corporation with the Trump administration approval, and these power plants can be up and operational, constructed within 12 months.
Nice, nice. I want to continue on your technology. So let's talk about data center crisis and the physics of your pattern. 84007B2. Um, so massive AI data center like that of Elon Musk, Colossal or Colossus in Memphis are drawing immense power from local grid. And they're also facing heavy pushback from the community over local pollution from the fallback generators. What are the primary structural flaws in how tech giants are trying to power the AI revolution. This is important to explain for people like me who are not as versed in the space like you are, but are very concerned about, the issues, the pollution, and the issues with energy, the utilities going up, right? The pollution and all that, the water consumption. Can you please explain that, please?
Yeah. Well, tech giants have a mantra that I really like: move fast and break things. Fix it on the way. Don't delay. Innovate. Find ways to keep moving forward. And they are true to their form. The drawback is that building data centers, they know how to do. But those data centers require more power than is available now. And so that means they are taking power from the grid, which drives up the cost to the actual consumer, and they're taking water from the community, which impacts the price and the costs of everyday citizens. And so they need a solution. And so that's where the pivot from trying to offer Allen Hydro Energy Corporation power plants to nations that need power for development to tech giants who need power for artificial intelligence. And so it's a matter of tech giants literally seeing Allen Hydro Energy Corporation's power plant technology as a solution for their scalable existing and new power plants. There's no other innovation like this that uses proven hydroelectric generating technology in a 70-story building where you can control the flow and supply water to those tech giants as a solution. And they have the resources. It's just a matter of us having a conversation and getting deals done. Microsoft is trying to, they've done a deal to open up the a nuclear power plant in New York, the one that exploded, I believe, in the 70s. But no one really trusts nuclear power. And you think there's pushback from the water and power usage when they try and build nuclear power plants in cities to power their data centers. Communities are going to be outraged, and it's just not a viable solution, because if there is an accident, the entire community will be unlivable. Unlivable if a nuclear power plant. And I know they're working on smaller nuclear reactors, but it's still nuclear power, which has the potential for a meltdown. And so with Allen Hydro Energy Corporation's power plants, if there's an issue, you might just have water on the streets. But in a closed loop system, we've got that contained. And so we are not going to be using municipal water or power from the power grid. We want to generate our own, and we will supply this to the tech giants. And they have the resources. It's just a matter of our companies sitting down and completing a deal.
While you were talking about the nuclear reactor, a thought just came into my mind, and that thought is, I was a little scared because I remember the history of that explosion back then, even though I was a child. But you read as you grow, as you go to college. If you're a student of history, you pay attention. But here's my question. Why not build this, let's say, the nuclear reactor in remote area, or maybe this data center in remote areas? What is the problem with that? I mean, not to take away from your technology, but I'm just thinking if there is a concern about the pollution and the nuclear disasters and all that. Why not build these things in a remote area? And that kind of lessen, the worries that many people will have. It's just a side thought.
Yeah, but I think the majority of the populations are moving to cities. And populations are the ones using mobile phones and queries and data. And so all of that data is coming from these large cities.
Mhm.
And data centers want to be close to where there is a large group of citizens producing massive data.
Okay.
And so that's the strategy of being close to population areas where this data is being queried and created. And so I think the tech giant strategy of building in cities that have larger population is not a bad one. It's just the power and water usage are problems that they need a solution to. And Allen Hydro Energy Corporation has that solution.
So your pattern introduced an extraordinary concept. A large-scale, self-contained hydroelectric plant housed completely within an urban skyscraper footprint. Like you have said, can you demystify the baseline mechanism of this vertical closed-loop fluid design for our audience? Now, I wanted to ask this question because I know there are some engineers and, and scientists that will say that will argue that your technology will end up using more energy. And there is, especially when you have a situation like a closed loop, how can you sustain this, this plant effectively
Yeah.
and efficiently?
Well, 70-story building is a lot of space. And so the design includes solar panels
Okay.
on the building.
Okay.
And these solar panels will recharge a set of batteries, industrial batteries. And these batteries will power the vacuum pumps at the top, the water pumps at the bottom. And hydroelectric generating process is proven technology. So if you are using atmospheric generators powered by these batteries and solar panels to fill and maintain the water and cool the water in a closed loop system. Again, we're not talking about, we're talking about innovation on a proven existing process, right? And so no one disputes that hydroelectric generation works. The pushback, I think, happens with what I look like, right? And the innovation that I'm bringing to this, and the potential revenue that my company would generate. Some people have a problem with that. And so even though they are engineers and very astute and understanding of hydroelectric generation process, you store water, that water falls with gravity, it turns turbine generators, and it generates electricity. That's the normal process. The innovation is that we're reusing this water in that same closed loop system in the building. And so those who understand engineering and understand science understands that, and the innovation behind that. The patent doesn't include some aspects of what I'm adding, because I'm pivoting now for specifically data centers. But the principle and concept and the science behind it is the same. You have to bring innovation to problem solving. And I know that there are engineers, we have the capabilities of building 70-story or taller buildings. That's not at odds. We have the capabilities of building hydroelectric dams, the technology, that's not dispute. So the factor is what I look like. And that for some people trumps everything. because they don't want to see someone like me competing in this space, doing what I'm planning to do in terms of that. And there's nothing I can say to convince those people that I am focused on the tech giants who have a problem and need a solution. And those who are first to the table doing deals will be the ones that have a competitive edge in this AI race.
Thank you so much. But I also want to bring up another thought. Could the pushback also be the concern about what it will take to build your plant, your facility? For example, you will need a permit. We all know about the bureaucracy, right? Maybe interested investors don't really want to go into all of that headache. So
Well,
could that be?
that's
Yes.
the exciting thing about what President Trump just did with the
Okay.
ratepayer protection plan.
Okay. Okay.
He literally said to tech giants, I will approve your power plants within 2 weeks.
Okay.
And he had the Department of Energy there. He had the Secretary of Commerce there. He had the Federal Regulator of Energy there. All of that. And so, because AI is a national priority,
Yes.
which means that the same laws that they are using to negate the people in Memphis are the same policies that can allow fast approval of these power plants within 2 weeks and rapid construction of them. The key to being able to do this, I'm looking to use a Chinese model of building manufacture where they are using factories to build components and rapid assembly on site, which allows you to move faster in terms of building construction and getting these. The opportunities for a lot of the cities is that there are manufacturing jobs that these cities and their leaders could authorize in terms of a private-public partnership. Our people need manufacturing jobs. And Allen Hydro Energy Corporation has reached out to mayors of Jackson, Mississippi, Memphis, Tennessee, Tulsa, Oklahoma, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, all of the major cities that have existing data centers and need manufacturing jobs. And why there has been no response or no communication or games playing around doing a private-public partnership, that is the big challenge. And so communities will hold those folks accountable for not just being willing to have a conversation with me and my company that's looking to offer manufacturing jobs that they would normally pay millions of dollars to other companies to recruit them to come to their community. And I'm not asking them for anything.
Well, give it time. I'm pretty sure that, as time goes on, as you continue to, you know, reach out, I'm sure, and as the need continue, the demand and the concern continue to amplify, I'm very sure someone is going to reach out to you. Now, let me ask you a science question, because I know a scientist is going to ask this question. In a closed fluid loops, um, there is something that we call, you have to consider the law of thermodynamics and energy loss due to friction or heat. How does your design structuring leverage gravity, vertical height, unique fluid dynamic to maximize efficiency and overcome those traditional constraints?
Yeah, yeah. And so when you are generating your water from atmospheric generation, you can maintain the level of that. The second reservoir cools the water. So you're still using solar panels on side of the building that recharge batteries. So you're using that energy from the solar and the batteries to cool the water and maintain that level of that, and to operate those water and vacuum pumps within the system. And so again, with 40 1,000 megawatt turbine generators generating that kind of capacity, this building will not require that kind of energy, but the output is greater than what the input is going. So you're going to have a net positive generation of the energy. And again, the engineers and the scientists know we know how to solve problems. This is not anything that is undoable. It's innovation on an old, proven technology, right? And so again, I believe that those folks who understand how to engineer, how to solve problems, how to construction, I will be bringing on teams of those folks, and we will get this done, and we will address any kind of concern or any kind of problems that happen within this process. But I'm still looking to meet the demands of tech giants, move fast, break things, fix it, but not environmentally impact human beings, not drive up cost for ratepayers who are having an affordability crisis as AI begins to take its toll and start to eliminate some jobs. We've got to be willing to create manufacturing jobs for our community. And this is an opportunity to plug into a hyperbolic exponential growth industry in terms of artificial intelligence, in terms of what robotics, quantum computing, all of those things that we are looking to compete and dominate in the US in a race against countries like China and the EU for that. Because whichever company reaches AI dominance, they will be able to predict the future.
Yes, yes.
And that means power and control of this entire world.
Yes. One of the things that I'm so excited is that you are thinking about solution. You're engineering solution within our community. That is really exciting for me. I have another question. I'm just thinking while you were sharing your thought. Um, you know, the AI generate an immense amount of heat. So is there a way in which to capture that heat that is generated and to plug it into your system to help it run your hydropower? Because we know that the hydropower is, it uses water, like, for example, that's why they build dam, in places like a waterfall, and because it generates a lot of, you know, um, heat, steam. So capture all of that. Is it possible to do that? That way, that addresses any criticism that someone may have about it, in terms of thermodynamics, right? About the science of, your plant.
Well, I mean, the supplying the cool water that cools the computers, I think right now is part of the strategy.
Okay.
It meets the core problem that tech giants have with their data centers. They need power and they need water. And so Allen Hydro Energy Corporation will supply the cool water to help them meet their demands, which they are in the AI business. Data centers simply allows them to make money off of AI, their applications, and that's where their focus is. My focus as an energy company is to supply them with the power and the water that allows them to scale their AI. And so it's a narrow lane, but again, those two things are what they need, and those two things are what they're willing to pay for, and those are the things that I'm willing to supply with Allen Hydro Energy Corporation's power plant.
Excellent. So that actually leads us to the next question. This one deals with data center, evaporating millions gallons of water daily for cooling. Could your closed loop water system driving, the turbine simultaneously act as a direct heat sink for adjacent data center server racks, solving the power and water crisis at the same time?
Mhm.
And do you want to talk about the mechanics of that? I mean, or this is just a proprietary,
Well, again, I can say basically we're going to cool water, we're going to supply that to each data center, and then we're going to bring that water back to Allen Hydro Energy Corporation to be recooled in that closed loop system. So we're not cooling and then putting it into the drain. That's a process that in the closed loop system we want to control, and so that means once we have the system filled with water, we only need to add additional water as some is lost through the process. But again, we maintain and control that process and supply them with the water.
Thank you so much. By the way, quick question: Does your plant does it produce sound or loud amount of sound? Because that's a concern that our community will have.
Yeah, I mean, we know how to mitigate sound within a building. So you can turbine generators running do produce sound, and so but it's 70-story up in terms of that sound, and we know how to insulate and build those structures to mitigate sound from the turbine generators.
I want to talk about bureaucracy, community engineering, and representation. As a Black inventor navigating heavy clean tech, and there aren't a lot of you, right? And industrial engineering, uh, you are operating where minority representation, again, as I've mentioned, is historically low. What has been your experience pitching multi-million dollars infrastructure blueprint to venture capitalists and traditional engineering firms?
Well, I received the patent in 2013, and um, so the focus at the time was trying to offer up a replacement for fossil fuel burning and aging nuclear coal-fired power plants, as well as reaching out to a number of African countries that needed power for development.
Yes.
And so the response was not good uh, in terms of them wanting to have a conversation with me.
Can
And
you
they,
can you can you share in your view why will that an African American, a Black person, a Black man who has a great innovation that will address the infrastructural problems that we have as it pertains to AI and maintaining our supremacy in this technology that we, United States, invented. Why will our community have not jumped on this opportunity?
so,
We are the ones that are concerned about
so,
this.
so,
I don't understand.
so there is, when we say our community, there are people within our community who have helped to create and work very hard to maintain the Black disparities. And those folks are in collaboration with white supremacists And so the evidence is the Black disparity data, where when you look at what's happening in this country, those who are in leadership, both Republican and Democrat, Black and white, some of them, there is a portion of them in power that does not want to see any progress happening with the Black disparities. As a social worker, my concern in terms of humanity and what is happening within the Black community, my goal is to address the Black disparities with whatever profit I can generate. That is a threat to those who believe that the number of the high rate of Black infant mortality, the high rate of Black women maternal mortality, the mass incarceration of Black African Americans, the gun violence, and all of the Black disparities. They work to maintain that. They have created that. And at the end of the day, that reduces the Black African American population in a democracy where the majority wins and the minority loses. And so if you can't ever get your population beyond 13% of the population of this country, that's not by accident. So you see, in order to maintain that, there has to be organized conspiring between Black leaders, white supremacist organizations, and elite groups to help maintain that kind of systemic problem. And a company like the ones that I've created, the Quiet Resolution TQR, designed specifically to mitigate and offer solutions to those the Black disparity data. Allen Hydro Energy Corporation is simply the company I created to solve a problem and to use the resources and the profits from this company to fund solutions that create hospitals and schools and community services and economic opportunities within the Black African American community. So again, my strategy is a direct threat to some very powerful people who don't think that the Black disparities should be addressed and solved. And so all of the people who are in political power, many of them, I reached out to them, currently trying to get in touch with the governor of Maryland. And it shouldn't be difficult to have a conversation about economic development. The mayor of Chicago, the governor of New York, the mayor of New York, the mayor of Atlanta. These folks are in positions of leadership, but sometimes their interests don't align with what mine are. And so I will continue to pursue opportunities with tech giants, and I'm not looking for investment, and that's the difference. I'm not looking for an investor. I am looking to do the kind of deals that Microsoft just did out in Texas, where they paid $7 billion for 2.7 or 2.6 gigawatts of energy for a 20-year type deal. So those are the kind of deals that I'm looking to do, specifically in the U.S. with technology companies, and in Africa with those countries that need power for development.
Many young people in our community are naturally system thinkers, just like you. You highlight a little bit about yourself. You grew up in a community like Memphis, Tennessee. Your humble beginning was not as a wealthy family, but you were poor, and you are a solution maker. You create stuff, you design stuff to to solve problems. And many in our communities are like that. For example, they fix cars, they optimize household budget, and they manage complex family dynamics. But the challenge here is that in our space, they don't use technical vocabulary to describe them. But they solve problems, right? It's very similar to the idea of women in the household. For example, like my wife, she uh she's a fixer. It amazes me sometimes. She likes to fix stuff. So when it comes to, let's say, our budget, she's very literate when it comes to money management. But with other things too in the house, and many women are like that. But there's a low representation of our women in the STEAM industry or workforce. So here's my question. How can we help you to recognize that they are already practicing or the foundational engineering logic in their daily lives? How do we do that?
Well, I have a concept in TQR called Black love, right? Loving that which you are. If a child knows that you care about them and you love them, you can teach them anything and they will excel. And that is missing from the K through 12 school system. So with TQR, we're going to build our infant through K school systems. And these schools are going to prioritize what the Black African American community needs. We need doctors, we need engineers, we need attorneys, we need social workers, we need skilled trades people.
Yes.
And so we're going to partner with HBCUs. We're going to build what I call infant through 12th. And again, we're going to bypass that old system because it has been proven. Not every child needs to spend 12 years in school. You have kids who are being homeschooled, who are at 13 and 14 being able to enroll in college and complete advanced degrees. As a group of people, we do not have leaders who have put a national comprehensive Black empowerment plan in place. And that's what TQR is, where you look at when you control your schools, you can control the curriculum.
Yes.
And when you identify what you need as a people, you target and steer kids to help meet that need. There are all kinds of engineering that you can study. There's all kinds of physicians, nursing, or positions in the healthcare industry. There are all kinds of teachers. There's all kinds of trades you can be involved in. We have got to put a system in place that diverts our kids from the mass incarceration cycle, from the school systems that do not value them, do not love them, and therefore cannot adequately teach them. When you control the minds of your kids, you can produce greatness. And that has been the key missing ingredient in terms of our growth and development. And there are opportunities all over the diaspora and in Africa for us to compete and collaborate. But we have to understand that sometimes people who look like us, who may talk like they are for us, but if they solve none of our problems, they are not good leaders. And right now, the Black disparities are the benchmark. When you see elected and appointed leaders who are solving those problems, then you know you have good leaders. If they are just allowing the high rate of Black infants to die, the high rates of Black women mortality to die, the gun violence to continue, and the poor educational outcomes, the system does not work effectively. And so as a leader, when you understand that, you come up with a different system, one that allows for self-empowerment, which means that we neither ask nor need anyone's permission to do what we need to do. And TQR was created, Allen Hydro Energy Corporation was founded to fund TQR. And so that is the opportunity, but it's also a threat to those who are in positions of leadership who could easily pick up the phone to any of the tech giants that have data centers in their cities that are operating off of fossil fuel and say to them, have you heard about this guy? Let me introduce you to this guy's technology. It meets your need and it can environmentally protect the citizens I was elected to serve. If they're not doing that, then that's one clue that you might have someone who looks like you, but is not interested in your best interest as a community.
Thank you so much. That actually leads me to another exciting thought. I'm so happy to hear about your initiative. That's a good one. You know, I used to advocate for STEM quite a lot. I still advocate for for students going to college, but now I've changed my way of thinking, my perspective, that students don't really have to go to college because um, they also can pursue career paths, and they can do that through what I call the CTE, kind of the career technical education pathways through the high schools, for example. And why that is even more important and more imperative is the fact that knowing what I know now about the importance of the CTE or about the importance of the technical workforce. For example, when I talk about the technical workforce, I know um, things like plumbing, right? Like welding. They are very, very essential and important for building, like the data center that we're talking about, like your hydropower plants that we're talking about. Uh, um, Electrician is very, very important. And students don't have to go to college, but they can follow the career pathways through the CTE schools to acquire those certificates, to go through, let's say, mentorship or apprenticeship. Um, and they make a lot of money. I will never forget one time I was having a plumbing problem and I asked someone to come and fix my plumbing issue. I don't know how we got into this conversation, but I discovered back then the man that came to fix my plumbing issue was making more money than I was, and I have 3 degrees. And I started wondering to myself, something was wrong. Um, I went to school, I went to college, took out a lot of student loan to just acquire that education, but I still can't make enough money to address many concerns that I have. But here is someone who didn't go to school as much as I did, making a lot of money. So here's my question. How do we shift that paradigms so that youths um, will start looking at especially within our community, will start looking at this as an opportunity, especially in a AI age? And also, furthermore, how can we uh, shift the paradigm so that our youth can stop looking at AI and advanced tech as something they merely use, or start viewing it as something that they can architect and own?
Well, it goes back to that concept of Black love, right? Our youth have value, right? And so all of our HBCUs and UNCF schools should have trades components of those so that students can literally go to college, because I love college. College is an opportunity for 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year olds to develop as human beings, to engage in organizations, to build lifelong friendships, and a lifelong commitment to that university and supporting it. These universities are important, but it starts when you control the education of your kids from infant all the way through senior high school, but even that. So when you do that, you can put trades in there. You can have kids go to college who are studying advanced plumbing or advanced electricity, because believe it or not, as we advance into space, we're going to need plumbing systems,
Oh,
power
yeah,
systems,
you're right.
all of those systems. So even
Yes.
if you have completed a trade in school, to move to building hotels in space and housing on Mars and the moon, we're going to need those students who understand the core trades to have an advanced level for
Yes.
their trades not on Earth. And
Yes.
so there are plenty of opportunities, but we can't wait on the existing group of Black elected leaders to step up.
Yes.
We have got to control that process and create these leaders
Yes.
and create these opportunities for our kids, because they have value, and it starts with Black love.
Yes.
I can't teach and motivate you if I do not love and care about you. And that is hard in a society for other groups to do. We have to have that responsibility for ourselves and our communities, our children, our seniors, our students, our adults. We have to have systems in place to counter systems that are in place that are destroying and exterminating us. And that is the real fight when Black innovators are trying to compete in a space. And it's not just about the money. It's not just about the profit. It is about a deep love for that which I am, that which produced me, and that which I have a serious responsibility to acknowledge and work in the capacity of solving some of those issues that have not been solved in our community. And that, due to my mother, FMA Moore, and my father, Dudley Mr. Pot Allen, who raised and nurtured me. But I also had grandparents who loved and nurtured me. That kind of dedication and responsibility is what drives me. I
Excellent.
am committed to making a difference in this world or die trying.
Which actually brings me to the icebreaker. Tell us a little bit about your upbringing. You mentioned the impact of your parents and your grandparents. Um, who were the primary influence in your early life that gives you the confidence to think independently, to think ingeniously and to challenge the status quo, to be fearless. I mean,
That,
please go
that
ahead.
goes back to my mother, Effie Mae Harris Moore, Campbell Moore, and her love for me and my weird ideas. I would always tell her, I've had this idea, and she wouldn't discourage me. She just wouldn't. And so that allowed me to constantly embrace my gift of ideas and innovation and inventions, And so having that kind of love and nurturing when you're growing up in the Mississippi Delta, born in Vans and raised in Tutwiler, Mississippi, Tallahatchie County, North Mississippi Delta, in poverty, living on farms and that are owned by white farmers, and seeing your parents work, but that kind of nurturing, spending summers in Kosciuszko, Mississippi, with my grandmother and my great grandmother, Danny Wilson, it gave me an opportunity, but it also allowed me to see generational poverty. And I never liked that. So my challenge has always been to try and do something to end that, not only for my family, but for my community and the people that I love. There is enough opportunities and enough resources to literally address the needs of people. You have to lead with compassion. You have to lead with what I call Black love. And that is what drives me. But my parents worked hard, my father, every day, and gave me the opportunities that he could. And my mother nurtured and encouraged us to continue our education and just be good human beings, have values, and not focus on negative or those things that will not uplift the community and make them proud. And so that's what I love. Even today, I know my ancestors are looking down on me, my mother, my father, grandparents. And that is the accountability that I hold to try and do the best I can do and be a good human being.
Excellent. So innovators who look at the world differently are often labeled early on, as you know. So growing up and navigating your early career, did you consider yourself a nerd or an outsider? How did you embrace your identity early on to fuel your creative drive?
I think I was a regular kid. I loved playing basketball, running around in the fields and just doing regular kid things. I think when I decided that I wanted to go to college, it was because I wanted to figure out a way to address the poverty that I was looking at. And at the time, social work was the profession. And I love being a social worker and having been trained primarily as a social worker, a problem solver. And that has fueled me. And so the invention and ideas, I think, go hand in hand because I saw that those who were creating products and services and technology and space and all of these professions were becoming wealthy. And then they could literally invest their wealth in the things that mattered to them. And so me creating TQR as the first startup focused on trying to address the Black disparities, and then moving to Allen Hydro Energy Corporation as a way of funding it. And then when I got pushback from that, created Cuptopia.com Inc., a technology startup, and then kept going. And when I saw the space race, I launched Angel Dark Matter Inc. To compete in the space race. And then with health issues and health disparities, I wanted to be in that field and launch Harper Adam Kane Biotech, named after my three grandsons. And then just in honor of Juneteenth and the 250-year celebration of American history, I launched Our American Party, a national political party, because I want to be able to compete in all of those areas and not listen to people who want to put me in a box.
I
I
understand.
don't do well in boxes. So if your concern is what I'm doing here or here, and you want me to just be over here, I don't do well in boxes. And so I am excited to compete. And I am looking forward to seeing more people like me, because I am not an anomaly in our community. Our history shows that. There have been Black innovators and inventors who have literally created technologies and processes
Yes,
that have changed the world.
you are
I just
absolutely
want to be
correct.
among those.
You are absolutely correct on that one. So talking about that, so if you could sit down for a dinner or a drink with anyone from history or living or an ancestor, scientist or a leader, who will it be and why? And what is one question you would like to ask them?
I think it would be Medgar Evers and Fannie Lou Hamer, both from the Mississippi Delta, who, in the face of white supremacy and threats to their lives for standing up for the rights of Black African Americans, that courage in that face, I would literally want to know what was their guiding principles that allowed them to continue that work when many around them were losing their lives and just leaving the state of Mississippi or stop engaging in the activities because of the real physical threats and harm. What drove that kind of courage to allow them to move forward in the face of that environment?
Yeah, yeah. That is, those two, are major. they're really major. Well done. So turning a patented blueprint into physical multi-story urban energy plant. It requires a massive capital and strategic alignment. But you've already mentioned that the capital is not an issue. Uh, so here's my question. What are the immediate next milestone for the Ireland Hydro Energy Corporation? Are you actively looking for maybe a joint venture with tech hyperscalers or specific infrastructure partner to break down ground?
I'm looking for deals with tech giants.
Okay.
The kind that Microsoft just did with a company in Texas for natural gas, $7 billion for 20 years, and at I think I mentioned 2.6 or 2.7 gigawatts of power. Allen Hydro Energy Corporation is offering 40 megawatts. No, I'm sorry, 40 gigawatts of power over a 20 to 25 year deal in the range of 5 to 10 billion dollar per power plant to supply electricity at 5 cents or 10 cents per kilowatt hour, and water at 5 or 10 cents per gallon. And so that's the kind of deal that I have and in my proposal, and I am actively trying to contact these tech giants who need power and seeking a deal. I am also actively seeking legal representation for my company in order to help with securing these deals.
So to close out, what is your ultimate piece of advice for a young student or an aspiring innovator of color who has a big disruptive ideas like yours, but is facing skepticism from traditional academic and corporate world?
Well, I would say, my motto is move faster, without fear, without greed, without excuses or permission. I believe that nothing is impossible. It just ain't been done yet. So do what others think is impossible. Pursue your dream. Do not listen to people who tell you it cannot be done. There is a way. Find a way. Knowledge, resources, and with AI, all of those things are now tools that can help you with whatever idea you have. So I want you to believe in your ideas, believe in your dreams, believe in your genius. Believe it, because you look at your history and it is there. That's why some people don't want Black history to be taught, because when you see that other people were able to pursue and achieve great things that have revolutionized this entire world, that DNA lies within you. And you have to acknowledge that and understand that and live in that. Everybody may not understand your gift. It's not for everybody to understand. It is for you. The Creator gave it to you. And you have a responsibility to work hard, to develop it, to do your best, to ask for help when you need it, but never quit on yourself and your ideas and your pursuit of what it is that you were born to do. And we have to build a community that makes it much easier for you as a student to be successful. The adults in your community, the leaders in your community have a direct responsibility, because one day we are going to be old and we are going to be depending on you to help make sure that we are safe, we are healthy, we can be secure in our community. And if we don't prepare our kids for those kind of responsibilities, then the chaos that will follow will be our responsibility, not theirs.
Amen to that. Amen to that, Charles. I just want to appreciate you, for coming onto STEAM Spark and sharing your innovation, because it is critical that we know what is going on in our community. Our community, we have a massive number of innovators that are doing great things, but we're too siloed, we're too isolated. And also, the other thing is, there's a need for us to know about each other and to support our innovation within our community. That is extremely important. Our community is doing great things. We have history of doing that. Um, and also, maybe we can do another episode on the history of innovation within our community, starting from Africa. Maybe we can do that. That way, our youth can know that they're standing on the shoulder of giants like you, who have always done great things to help and to innovate our community. Again, I truly wanted to thank you, uh, Charles, for coming on to STEAM Spark Think STEAM Career podcast. I would like to encourage everyone to please subscribe to this channel on YouTube. Please support this program if you like what we are doing. And also would like ideas. Suggest some ideas of the type of podcast you like to listen to. Um, Again, thank you very much for listening and for watching this podcast. This is Dr. Ayo Olufade. Have a wonderful day. Thank you, everyone.